And welcome back to Evergreen Speedway's Home Track Heroes here on CW11 as we pick up in the Interstate Battery Hornet B main event, as it is now Michael Duncan in the lead over Scarlett Fisher and then Stephen Wilkes in the 87, rounding off your podium so far. But Damon Claiborne in 6th place, still trying to race his way in. He's your points leader coming into the night, finds himself in the B main, and he's going to miss out on a lot of points if he doesn't advance.
Yeah, really important for Claiborne to be able to get into that A main event and be able to bump up, be one of the top 4. But right now you see it's all Michael Duncan in that 78 car with a pretty substantial lead over the 19 of Scarlett Fisher. And so Michael Duncan looking really good early on in this race. Still 13 laps to go, a lot of time. But like you said, be really interesting to see if Damon Claiborne in that 43 car is able to move up into one of those spots to bump into the A main.
And one thing about these big field races is you catch lap traffic, as we see our leader Michael Duncan already closing in on some lap traffic, as that can really affect us. Oh, we got some contact there. That looks like, was that Hathaway, I believe, also involved, and that could cause trouble for someone trying to advance their way in.
Yeah, and it's happening in the same spot that we saw earlier on in the race, right? That turn number 2 where everybody's trying to kind of come into a small little area to get on the road course to get to the 3/8, and a lot of traffic's happening there, a lot of bumping as they go into that turn number 2. So not surprising to see some more traffic and some issues going into turn number 2.
Yeah, it's almost like a high-speed funnel going into that corner, as we see accidents there every single weekend, as our turn number 1 cameraman Jeff Ritter has a great view of it week in and week out, as it normally just spells chaos with trying to cram all these drivers into there.
Yeah, and you see the remnants of that with the 47 car of Dylan Frazier that had some issues earlier on, got hit in the back, and he's been carrying his bumper pretty much the entire race. And so definitely some issues as people are going into that turn number 2.
Yeah, as you see it go there across the bottom of your screen, Dylan Frazier in the black and gold. It's a pretty cool looking Hornet. It's cool seeing a new look for him in that car. As we see, if you look at the top of your screen, you see Damon Claiborne into 2nd place. So he's so far safely into the A main event, but we still got 9 laps remaining, and around this road course, that's a lot of time.
And you made mention earlier, Kyler, about the issues of traffic, as there you see Scarlett Fisher in the 19 having a little bit of issue there, but Michael Duncan had to lock up the brakes going into turn number 1 there as he came across with 9 laps to go, and that gave Damon Claiborne the opportunity to catch up a little bit. Now you see a little traffic coming out of turn number 5 there onto the race course that kind of slowed down Claiborne as well, but locking up the brakes there just gives that opportunity to the 43 car to be able to catch up.
Yeah, that looked like it was Leilani Wilson coming off from the grass inside of turns 3 and 4 of the 3/8 mile, as she was involved in that lap 2 incident. We saw just a mess of cars going into the intersection, as they all somehow made it through, and she was getting herself back onto the racetrack, as Michael Duncan has quite the lead over Damon Claiborne right now. He's just got to stay calm, smooth, and keep the tires under him.
Yeah, definitely. And like you talked about earlier, the importance of being able to bump up because of the point situation for Damon Claiborne, and having that lead over Mike Hathaway and the 46 car behind, I think is going to be really big. But still, once again, it's been the Michael Duncan show for the last 10 laps or so in the 78 car, just able to hold on to that lead pretty substantially.
Yeah, and even if Claiborne is able to advance into the next race, into the A main event, he's going to be starting way in the back of the pack. It looks like we see the bumper from the 47 to Dylan Frazier finally fell off and now sitting there out of harm's way, and it's a plastic bumper cover, so it won't do any damage anyway. But Damon Claiborne, Michael Duncan, Mike Hathaway, if they all advance, it's going to be quite the trek for them to come from the back, starting around 24th position, and in 30 laps, that's not a whole lot of time to try to make your way through a very competitive field.
And there's such a huge advantage, especially with the Hornets and the number of cars that are in each race, like you said, Kyler, to be able to be close to the front, at least within striking distance, because with all that traffic, it just gives the opportunity for those running out front to move clearly without having any traffic that they're behind.
Yeah, as we see Duncan now closing in on Joe Weber, as well as I believe that would be the 88 of Garrett Kramer, a couple more lap cars. So anything could cause trouble for Michael Duncan, as it looks like Damon Claiborne's starting to close in that gap on the 78 machine.
Yeah, definitely. And as they head down the backstretch, I think that's one of the things that you see that Claiborne is able to do so smoothly this year, and why he's one of the points leaders. He's able to just slowly break down some of those leads that people have and just run a really solid race. And there you see, once again, Michael Duncan having to lock off the brakes behind Joe Weber as they go into turn number 2. That just gives that 43 car of Damon Claiborne that much more opportunity to catch up.
As we see Kenny Spear out on the 5/8 mile coming to a stop, so his night sadly will end early, as he was mixing it up early in this main event. But yeah, like you mentioned, Michael Duncan having to work around lap traffic a little more cautiously than he might would, but I think he knows he's pretty safe and secure, and even if he does fall one position to Damon Claiborne, he will advance to the A main event. So I think he's just playing it more safe than anything right now.
Yeah, and as they come down now, they just have 2 laps. Going to be the white flag the next time by. But it's been really, really fun to see that battle between Michael Duncan and Damon Claiborne, and really hope to see that Claiborne is able to catch up and make it a really exciting race as they get the white flag this time by.
Yeah, Michael Duncan gets a white flag from John Peterson, our head flagger, as they work their way onto the 3/8 mile. Sadly, we don't see these Hornets on the 5/8. That'd be quite the show.
Oh my gosh,
but they're going down the back straightaway of the 3/8 right now. Michael Duncan still with a pretty good lead over Damon Claiborne coming off of turn number 4. Now he'll see the checkered flag in the hands as Michael Duncan wins and advances along with Damon Claiborne, Mike Hathaway, and Lucas Hassenfluck also advancing into the Hornet A main event. As we're going to go back and look at what happened on lap 2 that really mixed up the middle of the field. We see them coming off the corner right here, and it's right around the Joe Weber area where everyone started locking up their brakes and coming to a quick halt, and the 14 car, I believe that's Austin Kramer, just comes flying in, because normally you're carrying all the momentum you can to try to get into what we call the funnel into turn number 2. Is you'll just see a big mess of cars, 3 wide right there with Damon Claiborne just kind of barging his way through, and just an absolute mess of cars. There's Kramer bouncing off a few different drivers, the 2, the 88, and wow, that was quite something for not bringing out actual caution.
And, you talked about the 4th place finisher, the 03 of Lucas Hassenfluck. That accident right there was what propelled Lucas. He was in the second to last row. It was able to allow him. He drove all the way around all of that action, was able to place 4th in tonight's B main event from Interstate Battery. So a big break there for racers like the 03 of Lucas Hassenfluck.
Yeah, and that was just very smart driving. Him and Damon Claiborne both were kind of involved, but able to get through the mess with the least amount of damage and really work their way forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this segment is brought to you by Speedway Chevrolet, and go ahead and tell them about Speedway Chevrolet.
So make sure you visit Speedway Chevrolet in RV Center in Monroe for customized trucks, lifted trucks, work trucks, and Speedway Chevrolet. They can locate the truck that fits you best. Speedway Chevrolet and RV Center also wants your trade and will buy or co-sign your vehicle or RV and take the hassle out of selling it on your own.
And Speedway Chevrolet is the proud sponsor of our Pro Late Model division here at Evergreen Speedway, and they'll be in action next week that you can see on Sunday on CW11, as they'll come out for a great show as we're going to roll into our Youth Hornet A main event, as we got quite the field of young guns here. Starting on the front row, the 18 of Paisley Bender, sponsored by JBR, and to her outside, the 717 of Diesel Snyder, sponsored by Gearhead Garage.
In the next row back, we have the 59 of Tegan Bjornsson. On the outside of Tegan is the 17 car of Owen Craig, brought to you by Rick's Chevron.
And in the next row, we got the 45 of Chevy Vincent. What a great name for racing, sponsored by Beecher Motorsports. And the outside in the 21, Brooklyn Constance, also sponsored by JBR.
The next row back is the 27 of Dakota Grushala. And on the outside of Dakota, brought to you by PF Racing, Peters Family, and Drivers Development, is the 11 car of J.J. Mullins.
As we get the green flag, the last row is the 20 O'Reilly Rudell, sponsored by DEE1. And to his outside was the 46 of Cody Cooey, sponsored by Gernhardt Trucking. As off to the early lead, that looks like the 18 of Paisley Bender. Again, a good jump. Is this just a mess of cars towards the back of the pack?
You mentioned Chevy Vincent as a great racing name. Look at the second place right now, the 717 of Diesel Snyder. That's a fun one to announce all night long. Just a great name. And also the 59 car we've talked about at Tegan Bjornsson, who's had a great season so far. Just a really cool for a Youth Hornet in this Interstate Batteries Youth Hornet main event. Just a cool car to see out there, too. A nice paint job with a shark on there.
Oh, yeah, it looks great as always. As we see, it looks like that was Chevy Vincent getting roughed up by Gruchala a little bit. But she's on the move. She's not out there to make friends. She's there to move forward to the front of the pack as she's making her way up early, watching the great battle between Diesel Snyder and Paisley Bender.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And there you see the 18 of Paisley Bender get turned sideways a little bit by the 717 of Diesel Snyder. And what a great opportunity there for the 27 of Dakota Grushala to be able to jump into first early on in this race tonight. And there's the yellow flag.
Yeah, so it looks like Paisley wasn't quite able to get fired back up, kind of pinned up against that tire. So it was a little awkward spot for her to get the car refired back up and pull out on the track. And with the driver's side door facing the rest of the pack, they decided to go caution. But what a great group of young drivers we have out here. This class grows every year, and we've seen people like Haley Constance advance up to the Pro Late models, Annika Duncan now racing Hornets. It's an awesome class.
Yeah, and it's such a great opportunity for them to learn what it is for racing and what kind of lines they need to take. We've seen other opportunities out here where other drivers have actually taken some of these kids out and shown them which lines they need to take. So it's such a cool growth opportunity for them. And like you said, it just leads into bigger and better things.
Yeah, how awesome would it be to show up to your middle school or high school class saying, hey, oh yeah, I just got done racing this weekend, racing a full-size car, not go-karts, not RC cars, full-size cars out here at Evergreen Speedway. So it's definitely a very cool opportunity for some of these very young kids.
Yeah, definitely. And to be able to get behind a car, like you said, some of them can't even see a PG-13 movie, but they can get out to Evergreen Speedway and drive around the track, which is pretty cool.
As we see, it is now Grushala in the first position. It looks like Diesel Snyder got sent to the back for that contact. So these drivers, they're not getting anything handed to them either. They're getting all the rules enforced on them, make sure they learn the right way. So Diesel Snyder and Paisley Bender are now at the back of the pack. So we see Grushala, Vincent, and Rudell. You're 1, 2, 3 right now with 17 laps remaining.
And I think Riley Rudell has just had such an amazing season so far. Early on, we're really early on, still in May, but just so fun to see that 20 car have such a great season so far. And Grushala in the 27 car, obviously having a great race tonight, racing very aggressively. Dakota has done awesome so far this season as well. Yeah,
I believe this is only her second race this year, if I'm mistaken. I could be wrong. I believe it's only her second time out this year, so it's awesome seeing her get up there, lead some laps, and we see a great battle right here for third place between a couple of the veterans of the Youth Hornet division, Cody Cooey and Riley Rudell. As you see Cooey, he's using all the pavement that he can to try to get around the 20 car.
And Cody Cooey in the 46 car was kind of taking the lane that Joseph Bender was earlier on in our Interstate Batteries B main event, where he kept on going outside wide. But remember, Cody Cooey started in the very back of the pack, right? So to see him all the way up here and now kind of approaching that third place spot, it's pretty exciting to see from kind of at the very back to be able to be challenging for a podium spot.
As he's got that orange tape on the tires, get a little bit of a speed boost there. As looks like we saw J.J. Mullins and Brooklyn Constance get together at the bottom of your screen right there. Yep, indeed, and that's going to send the 21 around. Looks like J.J. Mullins got fired back up. But let's go and see what Brooklyn Constance had to see from inside her car. This is such a unique view, seeing them flying around the corner. And it's not very easy trying to drive one of these cars. As you see her trying to just get out of the next corner and just gets the rear end lifted up a little bit, bouncing around through the corner. There's the 11 just saying hello. As it's just a tough break for Brooklyn Constance. She raced actually at Deming Speedway the night before in the junior sprint, so under in a little sprint car, and she was able to get the win there. So she had a busy weekend of racing.
Yeah, can you imagine going from that and then coming out to Evergreen Speedway and racing on the dirt and then racing on the asphalt? What a difference. But a great race early on. So it's just kind of a bummer to see that kind of accident there in turn number 1. So
yeah, and Brooklyn has a lot to look up to. As she has Joe Constance, her dad, obviously a very accomplished racer, and then Haley Constance, her older sister, on her way to do great things as she races Pro Late Models here. As you'll see her next week in the Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late Model division, so definitely has a lot of good influence above her. And another young driver out there with great influence is Paisley Bender. John Bender, he does a ton for this class, supplying them with cars and really taking this division under his arm and helping it grow. So it's just cool seeing the amount of people making sure this class succeeds.
Yeah, it is. It's so awesome to see people that are willing to take that time to help these young racers grow into, like you've talked about, so many examples of bumping up to the next class. So really exciting as they're back here, Green Flag Racing once again in our Interstate Batteries Youth Hornet A main event.
As we looked like it just saw Owen Craig go off on the 5/8 mile, pulling off. So some issues in the 17 machine, so tough break. Hopefully we see Owen come back out another week as we see him up there at the top of the screen. But we got a great battle for the lead right here. Dakota Grushala with the veteran Cody Cooey all over the back bumper.
Yeah, and you see Cody taking that wide lane as they come into turn number 3 and out of turn 4, going to the outside as they come down the front stretch. That 47 car just seems so fast as they go into turn number 1, continuing in that same lane. But I think you're going to see as they continue to go on that outside, especially along the backstretch, it just provides Cody such a good opportunity coming into turn 3 and into turn 4. But, you know, Dakota Grushala doing a wonderful job staying pace with Cody Cooey as they continue down with now just 10 laps remaining.
Yeah, and Riley Riddell right there is like, hey guys, don't forget about me. I'm involved here too. He wants a piece of the lead, as it looks like Cody Cooey almost able to clear Dakota, and he is able to this time by. So it's Cody Cooey, Dakota Grushala, and Riley Riddell, your new 1, 2, 3, as we'll see Chevy Vincent in the 45 also not far behind.
Yeah, and you see here that Dakota Grushala was doing a great job kind of blocking the 20 car of Riley Riddell as they came down the backstretch, but you see Riley got to the inside there of turn number 4, able to push Dakota out just a little bit and jump into that second place spot, but Dakota did a great job recovering, I think, there on turn number 4 and be able to jump into that third place spot and not lose any more ground.
Yeah, that was very good driving by her to not let Chevy Vincent in on the inside there, as Riley Riddell very much just pushed her out of the way, and hey, I'm coming through. I can't let Cody get away. But with 7 laps remaining now, just 6.5 laps remaining for your leader, Cody Cooey, as he's already opened up quite a sizable lead over Riley Riddell.
Yeah, and Cody's definitely looking really great. Like I said, I can't say it enough, coming from the outside of the very last lane in the starting order tonight in the Interstate Batteries Youth Hornet A main event. And now you see the substantial lead that he has over the 20 car of Riley Riddell. Just a great race by that 46 car of Cody Cooey.
And 5 laps remaining now for your leader as we see the 17 car of Owen Craig back out on track. So I'm glad they got whatever issues fixed underneath that machine to let them turn some more laps and gain that much more experience. As that is really what this class is all about, is giving these drivers experience, because we hope to see them move on to much better things than these Youth Hornets.
Yeah, and as we see, we're just going to at the point of 3.5 laps down, so this time by for Cody Cooey, it's going to be 3 laps remaining in the main event this evening. See what the 46 car can do, as just 3 laps left to go on the small oval here out at Evergreen Speedway.
Yeah, and Riley Riddell is almost closing in on that gap with Cody Cooey, so maybe this race for the lead isn't over yet, as we might see the 46 catch those JBR cars and maybe get into some lap traffic, which could open up the door that Riley Riddell needs.
Yeah, definitely. And so I think that's the thing, that either that or maybe a caution that the 20 car of Riley Riddell is looking for to try and catch up to 46 of Cody Cooey. But this time by, it's going to be the white flag for the 46 car of Cody Cooey. Just 1 lap remaining in tonight's Interstate Batteries Youth Hornet A main event.
As we see that 46 car go down the back straightaway, a little bit of a rocky start, a couple cautions early on, but then about 16 laps of green flag action as we see him come around turn number 4, gets the checker flag from John Peterson. Riley Riddell comes home second, and Dakota Grushala able to hang on for third over Chevy Vincent. So that's an awesome run for her, as we'll go down and catch up with the top 3.
You had one heck of a race. Looked really sharp out there. Tell us what you thought about your performance tonight.
I thought that the car was hooked up great. I want to thank JBR Racing, Doug Earhart Trucking, Matthias Materials, Truck Parts Northwest, and Uncle Rob for helping us set up the car last night.
So tell us, Riley, how much fun do you have out here tonight?
A lot of fun. It's fun to come out here almost every weekend and race every single time. It's really fun. I can't understand.
So what do you think? You have about 2,500 fans here tonight. How much fun was it raced in front of such a large crowd?
It was great. It's great to have fans back. Last year we didn't have any fans. It's just amazing.
You had such a great race, nice early lead. It just started to fall back a little bit, but still a great finish in front of a great amount of fans here. Tell us how much fun you had tonight.
It was a lot of fun. It was my first podium, and it out of the heat, it turned out really well. I didn't expect this. But yeah, it was fun.
Awesome. Dakota, who do you need to thank for being here tonight?
Both my parents, my brothers, the Wistmans for letting me use their car, Brian and the whole 32 team. That's about it.